Hey, welcome to another edition of BJB Today. I'm Tim Kurt. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Check out hit the subscribe and like button. Helps us out a ton. And we want to thank our new sponsor right there on the screen, Infusion Brewing Company. They've got some great stuff going on down there at Infusion. Check out all they have to offer. Go to their website, infusionbrewing.com. They've got all their pumpkin beers out right now. They've got everything going. They've got some great stouts, some Pilsner seasonal beers. So check it all out. That's infusionbrewing.com. Glad you're joining us here with a cup of coffee as we kind of break down what happened in fall sports over the weekend. First off, just want to touch base on the on the soccer teams, and then we'll talk about volleyball. The men last night went 0-0 tie against Tulsa on the pitch at Morrison. The men now 0-2-2, off to a slow start. They will take on Denver as part of a men's-women's doubleheader on Friday at 7. The women also went down this weekend, losing to Duke 1-0. They will play the first match on Friday against Arkansas. So double dip, so you can go out to Morrison, catch both teams, and see if we can get things rolling with the soccer teams. So both those matches are at Morrison on Friday. All right, so over the weekend we had a ton of volleyball action. Let's start out with the Friday match against Texas. I thought at times, and there weren't a lot of them, but I thought at times, I wouldn't use the word overmatched, but we were clearly not the best team on the court. Again, we went into this long discussion last week about, whether the levels, are your stars as good as their stars? Are your next level stars as good as their stars? Are your supporting people as good? Coaching, so forth. I'm not sure that their stars were all that much better than us, if anything at all. I was pretty impressed a good chunk of that match, especially the second and third set. Like, if you just, watched it, 1 through 3, you're disappointed. We lost in 3 straight sets. Geez, couldn't we get a set away from Texas on one of those? But actually, if you rewatch the match in the second and third set, we kind of took over. I would say took over, but we were right there with them. Very similar to the Penn State match. I think that the competition obviously is great for our squad. We don't see this in the Big East night in, night out. Marquette's probably the only team consistently that's been able to give us a match. But again, it comes down to mistakes. And we just had too many mistakes. Yet, late in the match there, we had, I think, 3 in a row where we hit it in the net on the serve. And I get the servicing. Booth talked to me again. I'm just a volleyball novice. Booth talked to me about this several years ago, back when we were on the radio, that, hey, look, Tim, this isn't club volleyball where we're just trying to get it over. We're trying to serve it into a specific spot. That way, that will help us win that point. If we just try and get it over, it's coming back at us 200 miles an hour. So I get that we're trying to. And she goes that when you're hitting the ball that hard, it's not always perfect. And then you have different levels of servers too, right? So I get that, but still, I think Brian, if he got him off the side in the corner, would say, we got to do a better job of serving. And I just wonder, I understand the concept of getting the ball in certain spots, but I would think when it's 23-22, you need to get that service over the net, and even if it I don't know, again, it might come right back at you and you lose a point anyway. But Creighton's mantra has always been 2 under Booth, and certainly under Brian so far in the first 3 matches. you got to go for it. You got to go for it. If you're not going to go for it, you're not going to be out there. And so I'm really impressed that Brian has stressed that and is doing that. But again, we got to get, we got to be more consistent with the serves. And then not only the serves, I don't want to harp too much on that. I think there was more other setting mistakes. We overpassed several times. Other times we looked a little confused communication wise. And obviously that would be just the the newness of the players out on the court. But I thought that was a difficulty as well. But we were right there at the third set. I was hoping we could have grabbed one and at least moved it on to a 4-set. But again, boy, I think Texas is right there with Nebraska. Penn State lost to Arizona State over the weekend, although Arizona State's highly ranked. I think Texas is right there, 1 or 2. I really do. I think they're that good. So, lost on Friday. So that moved on to the match Sunday, where I thought the first set we played great. We came out. This is a Kansas team that we've played many, many times over the years. I thought, with the exception of one player, maybe we were definitely had the best roster. Kansas had that European 6'7" who's so strong and so big, and she could, she was a handful. But I just thought we played great in the first set, and then the second set, some of those little mistakes started creeping in. Even though we won the set, some of those mistakes started creeping in. I thought, okay, let's see what we do in the third set, and then again, passing mistakes, service errors continued, and same way into the fourth set. So those are things you just got to clean up. We just have to clean up. We've had 3 matches now. We got tape of what's going on. I will say this, and I said this a few weeks ago going to practice. They're really working hard on defense, and I think it's really paid off. I think Texas and Penn State were both the better diggers than us overall, but we were clearly the better digger on Kansas. We really played some great defense against Kansas. Eloise Brandaway was terrific at the net with her defense. We just really had some terrific defense all the way around. And basically in the end, that's what's won the match, right? So struggled a little bit, got off to a big lead in the third set, struggled out of the gate, then got off to a big lead, and then Kansas came back as we knew they would. And but we wrapped up the match and got the win. Going into that, we were kind of talking about, is this a must win? Is this it's too early to have a must win, but boy, we sure need to come out of there with a win, and we did. So tip of the cap to the Jays for fighting back and getting that 5-setter against Kansas. And if you're comparatively compare scores, and you can't do that in any sport. Wisconsin went to 5 sets, and I thought Wisconsin didn't look very good at all against Texas. I mean, I think we were the second best team in that 4-team event. But we go 1-2 now, and you want to think it's going to get easier, but you'd be sadly mistaken because, man, what a difficult stretch we got coming up. We're going to head out to California for the Trojan Invitational. Going to take on 3 great teams, San Diego and UC Santa Barbara, both mid-major conferences, but both have high expectations. Both have expectations of maybe getting an at-large if they don't win their conference. So these are going to be high-level matches. And then obviously Sunday we take on number 22 USC, so another top 25 opponent. So that's 4 in the first 6 matches. Friday's match is at 6. I believe it's on Big Ten Plus. Saturday's match is at 6 again against UC Santa Barbara. That is not on TV. And then Sunday at 3 against USC, that's on Big Ten Network. So it is kind of nice for playing these Big Ten teams where we're getting a lot of run on the Big Ten Network. So it should be a great week of volleyball out in LA at the Trojan Invitational, and a real chance to see what we do. I'd like us to come out of here 3-3. I think that would be a really good start to the season. And let's just see what kind of improvements we make from last weekend to this weekend, cleaning up some of those mistakes, some of those overpasses. Again, novice volleyball guy. I don't know. This could be totally, when I talk to Brian about this, he'll probably tell me I'm nuts. But I just thought sometimes some of those passes were a little too close to the pins for, in particular, Ava Martin. And I didn't think it gave her a lot of options. I thought Kiara Reinhardt was tremendous, and I thought we should have gone to her more in the middle. Now, obviously, it's not always open, right? I get that. But when she got it in the middle, it was down. It was down. She was real load for them to handle, for Kansas to handle. I thought Brandewies played great. I thought Simpson and Johnson, I thought they had stretches where they just looked terrific, especially in those first two matches against Penn State and Texas. They kind of disappeared a little bit in these matches against Kansas State, but they had some terrific play too. I like our depth. I like our overall roster. I think, we were a little concerned. We lost a lot off last year's team, and how would we perform and how would we look? And I got to tell you, I think we're right there with last year's team, if not better. So let's see how this plays out. And again, we talked about the tremendous teams are going to play this weekend, and then we've got Louisville coming in here, and then we've got a Rice team that's getting a lot of votes in the top 25, and then of course Nebraska. So the level of competition in the non-conference is not slowing down at all. Again, thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe and like button. Really appreciate it. Also, check out our sponsor there, infusionbrewing.com. Later on this week, we are going to have an interview with, hopefully, assistant head coach Al Huss, coach in waiting. So talk to Coach Huss about basketball, roster, construction, where we are at the 5 until Owen gets back, how some of these new guards looked, and just how things are going and what's the plan. And, he's kind of taken on, obviously, a bigger role as a normal assistant would take, which is not surprising. And we'll kind of talk to him about all those things. And if he's getting settled in here in Omaha, I'm sure he is. And then next week, we're going to really try hard next week when things slow down. They got the big trip out west this week. But get somebody on, hopefully like Coach Rosen or one of the assistants on, to talk about the volleyball team. Thanks so much. Hit that subscribe and like button, and thanks to Infusion Brewing for being a wonderful sponsor of the Blue Jay Banner today. We've had great support so far. We're really appreciative, and let's keep it rolling, and be on the lookout for some great shows later on this week, including another edition of Random Blue Jay of the Week. If you're a longtime Jay fan, you're going to love this, so make sure you check out. And you can check out every episode if you missed some right here on our YouTube channel, Blue Jay Banner. So thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow.